We're making healthy loaded French fries you don't have to feel guilty about eating. Fresh potatoes are sliced, soaked, perfectly seasoned, and then baked, not deep fried. Then they're loaded with melted cheddar cheese, turkey bacon, green onions, and healthy homemade ketchup. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes made with all natural ingredients, then you are in the right place. To make these French fries, we're going to start with some russet potatoes, and you'll want about 1.5 pounds, which is about 2 really large potatoes or about 3 medium potatoes like I have. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a fry slicer, go for it. But if not, you can just use a knife and a cutting board. I find it works best to simply cut the potato in half lengthwise, fold it on its side, and then make some narrow slices. They're about 1/4 inch thick. Then I divide them down the middle, turn them on their side, and then this way it's easy to cut through them. And I'll pull out those little triangular corner pieces. And then we have some very uniform French fries. Now we could cook these fries as is, but they have a lot of moisture and starch in them, and that's going to cause them to steam and not really get crispy on the outside. So we want to soak them in a bowl of cold water first to be able to draw out the starch. So I'm just going to add them to a bowl. So I filled the bowl with some cold water, which we can now patiently wait until it soaks for about 30 minutes. And I promise it will be worth it. Well, it's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and drain my potatoes into a colander into my sink. Now we want to dry off these fries and remove as much of that water as we can, because that's going to help our fries get crispy instead of just steaming when they're in the oven. So I found a really easy way to do this is just to take a clean dish towel and spread out the French fries. I'm going to quickly just turn them all perpendicular to the length of the towel. And I want to try and have them all have surface area against the towel. And then I'll bring up the edge of my towel and then I'll simply roll it up like a big sleeping bag. And the reason why I want all the French fries to run perpendicular to the towel is so that we don't break them smaller as we roll this up. And then I'll simply squeeze the towel to draw out the moisture. You can also do this with paper towels if you need to. I went ahead and rinsed out the bowl that we used to soak the fries so that we can add our oil and seasonings to it. So we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of light olive oil. You could also use extra virgin olive oil or even avocado oil. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of paprika, a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of salt, and a few dashes of pepper. And I'll quickly stir this with my spatula, and we can unroll our potato burrito here. Now my towel is nice and damp and the potatoes are much drier, and it makes it real easy for dumping them into the bowl. And then I'm just going to carefully stir them in the bowl until they're all evenly coated with the oil and the seasonings. And I prefer this method over putting them into the baking sheet and then just pouring oil over the top, because I think it gets too much oil on them and they're not evenly coated. So I prefer this method. And now that all of our fries are evenly coated, we can go ahead and spread them out into our cookie sheet. Now I went ahead and lined it with some parchment paper, which just makes cleanup so much easier. So I'm just going to dump them right into my sheet. And then I'll go ahead and spread them out in a single layer. And this is important so that the air can circulate all the way around the French fries. And if you have double ovens, you could easily put these into 2 pans, which would be even better, and then just cook them both at the same time. And if you have any of these little tiny slivers, I recommend taking them out because they're just going to burn on the edges. Well, these look fantastic, but before I put them in the oven, I went ahead and moved my rack so it's just 2 down from the top. And that's going to help these French fries cook a little bit crispier quicker. And then these are going to go in for 20 minutes, and then we'll take them out, flip them over, put them back in for about 10 or 15 minutes or until they are at the perfect crispiness. Now to increase the protein and add to our loaded toppings, I'm going to cook up some bacon. Now you could use regular bacon if you like. I'm using some turkey bacon. So I've just taken a smaller pan and then lined it with some parchment paper. And then I'm just going to spread out my bacon. And then I'm going to put this tray on my rack that's lower in my oven, just underneath my French fries. But of course you could cook these in your air fryer or even in a frying pan on your stovetop if you prefer. To make this really easy ketchup, we're going to start with a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. I'm just going to add this right into my bowl. Next, we're going to add 1/4 cup of some white wine vinegar. You can also use apple cider vinegar. And as our natural sweetener, we'll add 1/4 cup of honey. But you can also use maple syrup or agave nectar or your favorite sweetener. Next, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of water and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/8 teaspoon of allspice, and a few dashes of pepper. Then we simply whisk it together till it's well combined. Now is an excellent time for a little pinky test. That tastes so good. But you could easily add a little more spice or a little more honey to adjust it to your liking. I think I'm going to give it about another tablespoon of honey. And then I'll go ahead and store this in the fridge until our fries are done. Well, here are our fries after 20 minutes in the oven. You can see that they're just starting to get a little bit crispy and brown on the edges. So I'm gonna go through and just kind of flip them over with a spatula. And then I'll move some of the French fries that were on the edge to the center and some from the center out to the edge. And then I'll put these back in the oven for at least another 10 minutes or until they get nice and crispy. Well, here's our turkey bacon after being in the oven for about the 20 minutes, and I did go ahead and flip these over halfway. Now you can decide on how crispy you like them, but these look just right to me. So I'm going to transfer these to a paper towel lined plate and let them cool off a little until our fries are done. And while our fries are in the oven, I'll go ahead and dice up some of this turkey bacon. And then I grated half a cup of some cheddar cheese that we can sprinkle on top. But of course you could use any cheese that you like. Well, here are our fries out of the oven after another 10 minutes, and they look golden and crispy. So now I'm going to go ahead and group them together so that we can top them with our loaded toppings. Now that we have them all scooshed together, I'll go ahead and take our cheese and just sprinkle it right over the top. And I'll sprinkle on some of our bacon. And then this is ready to go back into the oven for about 3 or 4 minutes, or just until that cheese is melted and bubbly. We have some very bubbly and cheesy fries, and I love how the cheese has just gotten a little bit crispy on the edges. That's my favorite part. So I'm gonna go in and put a few on my plate, make sure I get some of that crispy cheese. Then I'll top it with a little bit of green onion and a little bit of homemade ketchup. Oh my goodness, this looks so amazing. Blowing it so it's not too hot. That is amazing. I honestly feel a little guilty that I'm eating French fries that taste this good, but the fact that they're made with these clean, natural ingredients means that I'm gonna feel just as good even after I eat them. And I want you to know that I believe in you and your ability to make the healthy, delicious food that you dream of. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. And I've included a link to the full recipe, and it's in the video description below. And it takes you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.